So sometimes, folks, it rains and there's mud everywhere. And they're the muddiest points, right? We need to figure out how we're going to get through that without slipping or falling. Let me tell you, it's quite squishy at the moment, but there's something about this beautiful mist and rain that's replenishing. But when we're talking about the muddiest points, we're in fact trying to figure out how to see through them. And when you're co-designing the future, sometimes it looks like that, although other people think, well, it's predictable. If we look at blueprints in laboratories, we look at what people are working on in research labs, we look at what the big funders are funding, we can figure out where the future is sort of going. And this morning I had a wonderful discussion as part of the technical board, advisory board I'm part of with the Zemina Institute, and we listened to the wonderful Jerry, who's on the executive, who basically said, look, IBM started out with this notion of smart cities. It was all about people-centered after that point, and then after the people-centered, it became about functionality. And one of the problems with this is that we are not thinking about beyond functionality, right? We're not thinking about human well-being. And he emphasized, no matter what happens, smart cities have to be about well-being. Other people call that livability. Others call that a carbon zero footprint. Other people call that a knowledge economy or a data-driven innovation economy. But whatever it is that we're putting our resources behind, Jerry Hewlin was talking about the importance of going global, that these cities that are working independently towards the smart cities goal, you know, if there are 50 states in America, then there are 50 different approaches to smart cities, and they're embracing things in different ways. But he said we can only harness the power of data if we're sharing at this super level or supra level, a national level or a global level. Otherwise, there aren't those global indicators that we're all sort of chasing to figure out where we are and how we can benchmark things. And he was talking about how China most likely will be far in advance of America if we don't get our act together in the West. And that we'd be chasing smart cities like they are. They have, 4 or 5 centers that are all smart gridded and smart everything. And those smart cities are decades ahead of where we are in the West. So this coordination, this capability, perhaps potentially because of the control factor in economies like those economic systems based on socialism or communism, where they can do mass surveillance and mass data collection without asking even the consent of the user. But in the West, we don't have that, right? What we have is a consent process. And the question is, how are we going to match it with China? And so how do we make those muddy points clearer, like this, to the point that perhaps we are looking at clear water, as is depicted here in the front?